السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رمضان كريم، أعاننا الله وإياكم بصيامه وقيامه. Welcome back to Cyber Nights 3. Today we have three very special guests with us here today. But before we get into that, I would like to thank the Saudi Federation for Cybersecurity, Programming and Drones, and in particular CyberHub, for giving me the opportunity to talk to such great guests, either today, previously, or in the future. In a nutshell, I would like to talk about CyberHub for a little bit. CyberHub is an initiative for students and the youth that have interest in cybersecurity in any way, shape, or form. Our goal is to enhance these interests and make them grow by letting them learn from the very, very best, from very experienced people, such as the people that we will be talking to today. Today, we will be talking to Spire Solutions with our guests, Naveen Baradwaj, Sid Mortenti, and Rami Rifat. So, how are you guys doing today?
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Kareem. Thank you so much for having us back, or having me back on Cyber Nights, and having our team with you here from Spire Solutions as well. Our gratitude to the Saudi Federation, SAF CSP, as well as all of you that's running these shows for the benefit of the security audience in Saudi Arabia.
It's great to have you back, Naveen. And Sid, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me on this session, Hamad. It's a real opportunity to be here talking to all the wonderful security audience in Saudi Arabia, the CISOs, the CTOs, the chief data officers, and of course the emerging leaders as well. It's amazing, and of course it's a wonderful season to be talking. Ramadan Kareem to everyone who are listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you all. Rami, how are you?
I'm good, Hamad. Thank you so much, and thank you for having us again. Looking forward for an interactive, interesting session that leaves something to the audience, inshallah.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that the audience will be very excited to hear from you guys all. I believe that Naveen, I think the audience already knows you, but I haven't gave you the opportunity to talk about yourself. So briefly, I would like you to tell the audience what you do at Spire Solutions, and as well as Sid and Rami.
Definitely. You know, I love to talk, but I will keep it very brief. As the Chief Growth Officer, the keyword there is growth. So I work very closely with our founder and the rest of the team in ensuring that the business is growing in the right direction. It is aligned with the market requirements. We have strategic partnerships and alliances with organizations such as yourselves, and working collectively with the entire cybersecurity ecosystem, end users, our technology partners, our channel partners, our alliance partners such as yourselves, and our team in helping enhance the regional cybersecurity posture. That's in a nutshell what I do. Sid, our Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you very much, Naveen. Yes, Hamad, like Naveen just introduced me, I'm the Chief Technology Officer. I have the pleasure of interacting with various stakeholders at Spire, and of course, with our technology vendors and our channel partners and our clients as well. So what I essentially do is help our organizational clients with digital security transformation, helping them build resilient security solutions for future, and helping them reduce their attack surface, and helping them with crisis response, such as the one we have seen recently with pandemic, and also helping them with various initiatives that they take up in their cybersecurity projects. So in a nutshell, anything to do with cybersecurity advisory, data privacy, cloud is what I'm happy to help our clients with.
Amazing. And Rami?
I don't have much to say. I handle one of the business units in Spire, where I work from a product management perspective, where our job is to build the bridge between the vendors and the solutions that we have and the customers and partners that we serve at the end of the day, trying to complete the picture from a SOC perspective, from an operations perspective, and from a risk threat and response perspective.
Amazing, amazing. It's a real pleasure to have you all here with me today. Now, we've written a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you guys, if you give me the opportunity. But firstly, I'd like to open a question for all of you. So, what's your opinion on the current emerging of cyber threat landscape? What are some of the common types of cyber risks and attacks prevalent in our region?
Sure. I'd like to go first, Naveen. It's an area which is very close to me. So every year as a cybersecurity expert, one thing I look forward to is the data breach investigation report from Verizon. So what is so special about this? Every vendor worth its salt actually dissects the information which comes out of this. So every year, like which we have seen over a decade or so, the 2021 report itself talked about how pandemic has changed how cyber attacks are happening. So we continue to see ransomware attacks, we see spear phishing attacks, but for our region specifically, Middle East and Africa, what we have seen is a huge increase in web application-based attacks. So one of the key aspects also we have seen is system intrusion. We have also seen stolen credentials being 80% a part of the attacks as well. So as you can see, lost and stolen credentials, privilege misuse, and system intrusion, in addition to the traditional malware and of course phishing attacks, constituted a lot of these attacks. So this is what we have seen as a matter of fact in the last 1.5 years or so.
If I could add to that, now when we talk about cyber attacks, we are no longer living in a world where only large organizations, large enterprises, or governments are being targeted. Unfortunately, even smaller organizations, SMEs, are also being targeted. As we talked about in one of our previous episodes, size of the organization may or may not matter anymore, because pretty much everybody has become a target for cyber criminals. And we read or we hear about cases where even 4 people shops or a single owner entities or a single consultant entities are also being compromised. So it becomes important for everybody as a society to work together, to become aware, and to prioritize cybersecurity.
If I can add a couple of points to just complete what my terrific colleagues just mentioned and build on top of that. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have now is understanding the cost of a cyber attack and understanding how to prioritize and align cybersecurity with business in the right manner, rather than having each and every one moving in a different direction in ways. I always refer to one of the reports that were released recently by IBM and Ponemon, where they mentioned that the cost of a cyber attack and they specifically chose Saudi Arabia and UAE from the region here, is almost double the cost in the whole world. That goes to several reasons. I think what Sid, Naveen, and myself just mentioned are just bits of the story. But it's just about looking at the complete picture. Risks are everywhere. We have to understand that risk, quantify it in the right manner, propose the right threat intelligence around it from all aspects, and be able to respond to it in the right time and in the timely manner.
Amazing, amazing. What a very large and understandable answer. Speaking of challenges, so I'd like to ask this question to you, Naveen. What are the challenges for CISOs and what keeps them up at night?
I think they have many challenges, unfortunately. There are many different things that's keeping them up at night. More so because digital transformation has been accelerated. You keep hearing this across the board, right? Technology has become the backbone and enabler of pretty much all organizations. Now, what that's doing is it's also opening up multiple new avenues for cyber criminals to actually target and come in. Unfortunately, the job of a CISO it was never easy. It's not going to get easier, right? I want to break this down. You asked about challenges. I actually want to break it down into 4 basic pillars, in my personal opinion. So if you look at the people, process, and technology aspect and add to that the innovation aspect, you'll come up with a bunch of different challenges, which I believe is keeping most CISOs, if not all CISOs, up at night. From a people point of view, one, they need skilled professionals because the nature of attacks is changing. The threat landscape is evolving. Lots and lots of tools and technologies are being added into their environment. There's tremendous pressure on them. And to be able to stay ahead of the curve, it's important that they have rightly skilled and forward-looking security professionals working with them in their teams and from their partner community. But unfortunately, reports and statistics show that there is a huge gap between demand and supply for cybersecurity talent. And that's where I believe initiatives such as those that the Saudi Federation for Cybersecurity Programming and Drones has undertaken plays a crucial role in upskilling youth and making them future ready. Also, from a people point of view, you have employees that may or may not be aware of various cybersecurity risks and challenges that their organization is facing, and the roles or the impact of some of their actions might end up having on the entire organization's cybersecurity equation or posture. This is on the people side. And if you look at the processes, lots of processes are working in silos. Lots of teams are working in silos. Unfortunately, this is a huge impediment for security because security cannot operate in silos. It doesn't matter which department you are in. It doesn't matter which function you're working in. It doesn't matter what types of workflows or processes you have and how fancy they are. It doesn't matter at all unless they're all integrated, unless there is a clear view of what is the impact of all these different processes and workflows on the business. What are the different types of risks that they cause? And cyber risk is business risk. So from a process point of view, if silos is what organizations are still looking at, then that's a huge challenge. From a technology point of view, as I mentioned earlier, lots and lots of new tools and technologies are being added within organizations. You be a government entity, a bank, a telecom operator, an oil and gas entity, a utility, power, electricity supply, large enterprise, e-commerce, small organizations, regardless of the type or the size of organizations, or mainly in the SME and large enterprise sector space, tools and technologies are ever growing, security and otherwise. Now, how do you ensure security by design for all these tools and technologies? How do you integrate all of them? And when you don't have enough people, the first challenge that we talked about, how are you going to manage, supervise, and have visibility into all these tools and technologies and the data that these tools and technologies are producing? And how do you make sense of it? That's something. From an innovation point of view, this is no longer a buzzword, right? You'd hear ministers talking about it. You'd hear CEOs talking about it. You would hear everybody in the business talking about, we need to innovate. We need to transform our organizations. We need to think 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ahead of the curve. And for all of that, technology plays a key role. Digitization plays a key role. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, so on and so forth are being used. But without the right set of people, without the processes talking to each other, without having proper understanding of the technology and building security by design, how are you going to innovate? But security cannot become a blocking wall for innovation. Security should actually work in conjunction with innovation and make innovation happen. So I think these are just some of the challenges that I personally feel that keeps bothering CISOs over and over again, in addition to the different types of attacks that Sid, Rami, and I talked about a little while ago.
Amazing. And I believe that answers another question that I was going to ask you is that do these CISOs, do they only work in cybersecurity? But I believe that you answered that, yes, they do. They need to know more, and they need to be engaged with the whole organization.
Yes, times are changing. Gone are the days where CISOs were reporting to the IT director or to the CIO. You now see that Many organizations have a very different reporting structure where the CISO reports to the board. Why? Again, cyber risk is business risk. If you're a bank and if you're under a cyber attack, it's going to bring your organization down to its knees. And this is money. We're talking about money. If you're an oil and gas entity, it can impact your production. If you're an electricity power grid, it can impact lives. You see, the impact of a cyber attack is far beyond the job of a CISO. Therefore, the role of a CISO and the type of people that he works with or she works with within an organization is completely changed. And in many organizations, there's a positive change. CISOs are reporting to the board. CISOs' voices are being heard in the board. Board owners and the larger or the wider C-suite is also actively engaging itself in cyber security related discussions, which I think helps in some aspects, but then there's still a lot of ground to be covered.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that's a lot of hard work for them then, I guess. Definitely. So, Sid, I want to ask you a question, please.
Sure.
Can you shed a light on Cyber Fusion Center and how it helps solve people and process-related challenges?
Absolutely. That's the coinage of Cyber Fusion Center is very close to me, having worked in Security Operations Center from the beginning of my career. Let's take a little trip down the memory lane and see how the cybersecurity has evolved and become one Cyber Fusion Center now. So if we were to categorize the evolution of security operations, we are currently in the 6th generation of Security Operations Center, namely G1 through G6. So what happened through various evolutionary stages? Let's say when I started my career in 2006, we were probably in G3, between G3 and G4, where we did not have dedicated team members. But as the security operations started evolving, we had dedicated teams for incident response, for certs, for forensics, for governance, risk and compliance, and MSSP started booming as well. Also, enterprises started having their own teams. As we moved forward, business intelligence, security intelligence tools also started coming up because the board wanted certain metrics. The CISOs wanted certain metrics. So threat intelligence, digital risk became very important as well. But in the current generation where we stand, 2020 and moving forward, organizations need stronger governance, stronger processes to make cyber fusions or security operations which fuse various data and cybersecurity operations together. Hence, the word is Cyber Fusion Center, which means a combination of various teams working together vis-a-vis as separate entities. So we've got GRC teams, incident response, forensics, threat intelligence, the traditional security operations and analytics teams always used to work in silos. That's a point which my colleague Naveen just mentioned a while ago. How do we make them stronger to work together? This is when we got to fuse the capabilities of all these teams together and have one strong feedback loop flowing back into the operations so that that becomes an effective means of looking at analysts, the alerts, conducting the analysis, and taking the necessary executionary steps. So this is where we are fusing intelligence into the operations itself. So this is where the operations have now moved. Therefore, it is now Cyber Fusion Center. So a lot of organizations have taken this approach and they see a lot of benefits from this. Why? First thing is you're able to have a single source of truth, because we don't want the governance team doing their governance related activities, the analysts working on analysis, whereas the threat intelligence is pointing at something which is more imminent of an attack. All of them are working in silos. For us to increase the accuracy, for us to increase the efficiency, strengthen the business goals with the security goals, improve the collaboration of tools. So why am I saying this is because you take any security operations center today, they will have anywhere close to 30 to 60 tools. And that's a huge amount of tools. And if you're not working together and actions are issued out not cohesively, then if there is no coherence, then that's not right. So that is why we need to fuse all of these together to have a single source of truth. Thereby, we have been advocating, Spire has been advocating the importance of a Cyber Fusion Center where you got a SIM technology, a data router technology, such as Scribble, for example, any technology such as Elastic for a SIM solution, an XDR, you got an EDR solution, an NDR solution, all of them working together. So all of them have the best situational awareness, all of them have the best compliance that they need to adhere to, and all of them are able to take the right action driven by the intelligence operations, such as threat intelligence or a digital risk, which is giving you the right intel so that you stop the attacks way before they happen. So I hope this gives you an idea, and a little more than that, how Cyber Fusion Center is the way forward for Security Operations Center.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking about that, I would like to ask you, Rami, how does Cyber Fusion help solve technology and innovation-related challenges?
So I think Sid covered a lot of that in his answer, but I would take 3 words that he said and build on them. The first word was the word fusion. Fusion in Arabic, insihar, meaning creating something new out of 2 different elements or more. And the other word is silos, which is what we fused. And the third word is coherence, having everything feeding and building one centralized source of truth, as Sid mentioned. So the beauty of the Cyber Fusion Center as a concept is that it's all about building blocks. And it's all about creating new use cases because of the fusion between separate and silos that are there. So it's not about this solution can do X, Y, and Z. It's this solution within this whole fusion center can do much more than the X, Y, and Z because it's built within a whole pool of resources. So the aim of pushing for the Cyber Fusion Center is basically going from 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 to 1 + 1 + 1 = 5. Getting more from less, which is back to Naveen's point at the beginning, issues with the people, with the teams. We don't have much. We never will have much, no matter how much we grow in training the cyber security professionals. Back to Sid's point, 30 to 60 technologies, we'll never have enough. So the best way forward is to think out of the box, take a step back, look at what is really controlling all of this process. It is not the solution capability, it is the amount of data and how you process it and get the right outcomes out of it.
If I could just supplement Rami on that, right? So Hamad, when we say a Cyber Fusion Center, we are not talking about a single technology. We are not talking about a magical wand or the silver bullet, right? We are actually talking about bringing multiple tools, technologies, people, teams, processes, and workflows together to innovate security as a whole, right? So you were talking to Sid about the people process related, how to solve people process related challenges. Rami was talking beautifully about how to solve the technology and innovation related challenges. You see, Cyber Fusion Center is not a one size fit all solution. It's not something that is built and everybody must use the same. No, it's something that you build from scratch, bottom up, and it's customized based on the type of entity you are, based on the critical assets that you have within your organization, based on the industry that you belong to, your risk exposure, the type of attacks that you are more prone to, yada, 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 yada. So it's something, it's like a tailor-made suit. You walk into the store, you're measured, you're asked how you feel, a suit is built, and then you're asked to test a couple more times until you feel that this is perfect. But one day, unfortunately, let's say you have a slightly bigger belly. What do? You go back again and you try to see what you can do with it, right? So it's customized, to say the least.
So basically, it doesn't have any limitations around growth and scalability. That's what I understand from you guys.
Oh, absolutely, and I think Rami can talk.
Thank you, Navi. I think that's the main core of the whole idea of Cyber Fusion Center. One of the things that we as SpireSolutions believed in for a long time. Limitations of locking yourself within one single solution and just walking around saying it does everything doesn't work. So the whole concept of the Cyber Fusion Center is built on building blocks that can be swapped and can be expanded for future use as you go. So you do not need to come after a while, just as Naveen was mentioning, you go back again to the tailor and throw away the old suit and make a new one. No, it is made to expand and made to grow with you and made to accommodate more and more. So the limitation around growth and scalability is basically the motive that pushed Spire to build this whole Cyber Fusion Center. It is no longer about take this X and it will solve everything for you. It will never be that. It was never that, but unfortunately, that's how the market was driven. It's now all about how can I grow very fast, being ready with security by design, which is basically building security that is embedded into each and everything you do, which is what the Cyber Fusion Center is built on.
Cool. But what if there's an increase in people or an increase in processes and technologies?
You can increase all what you want as long as you have the main. Okay, so Riyadh. When Riyadh came up with the season of Riyadh, there was increase in traffic, but Riyadh was built with the infrastructure that could accommodate this. Therefore, there was no issues. And looking forward, the infrastructure that is in place can be expanded because it was designed correctly in the first place. Take a look at another country, for example, that was built 100, 200, 300 years ago. They don't have that luxury, right? So what we're talking to people in cybersecurity right now, yes, you have built your infrastructure in a way, you've started moving in a specific direction, but either you continue with the complexity that you are used to working with, or you stop and say, this is not the right base for me to grow. I need to really build everything on the open, I wouldn't say open architecture because, but the open mind of growing from within and having everything ready for you. This is what the Cyber Fusion Center preaches. Yeah.
Another point on Hamad, what you mentioned is when the resources are lacking, we do innovation. That's one of the pillars Naveen talked about. So in a Cyber Fusion Center, it is imminent that organizations adopt orchestration and automation in those scenarios. So you build workflows, you build playbooks, what we call cyber playbook reviews. You review them often to adapt to the latest attacks, the latest trends, and then keep innovating on how you can use the existing set of technologies with a limited set of resources in order to look at the latest threats. So orchestration and automation is absolutely important in any Cyber Fusion Center.
So we build from the beginning to predict any growth so that we'll have a space, or we have enough space for it to build even more, even though we haven't even reached that level yet.
You have enough space, you have enough resources, and you foresee the growth before it happens.
Yeah.
Because basically you're making security an enabler to business, not a holder backholder to limit its growth.
That makes perfect sense. That's an amazing way to put it. I mean, if you're into cybersecurity, if you're technical, if you're not, that's the best way to describe it. For someone such as myself, I'm not a very technical guy, but that was an amazing way to put it.
Also, Hamad, one of the other aspects that I think we'll be talking a little more during this session is obviously visibility, right? It's all about visibility. With lots and lots of tools, technologies, what's happening is the volume of data that's being produced within your organization is enormous. Rami talked about keeping in mind scalability, building something, keeping future in mind, right? So what could be the potential of your organization in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? What types of data you might be producing within your security environment, outside your security environment? What the CyberFusion Center is doing, as Sid was talking about a little while ago about the common feedback loop, is it's building a central data or a security data repository. One of the key challenges that CISOs and security teams face is obviously visibility. The data is in too many different places, right? But when you integrate the tools, technologies, when you automate some of your processes, when you bring in all the data to one central place, and Sid was talking about data routing a little while ago, perhaps he'll elaborate a little on that. This magic happens because as a CISO, as a SOC analyst, as a threat intelligence person, or as whatever my role is within my organization, I go into this one common pool which has collected all things security related data, be it for performing investigations, be it for predicting possible attacks, be it for seeing how our security ecosystem has changed, be it to understand how the data format or the type of the data has changed or the volume has changed. There is this one central repository that's getting built. And Rami mentioned a couple of times about building blocks, right? So the building blocks are actually being built on top of this central data repository, and all the data keeps getting pushed, keeps getting trickled down to this central data repository.
And Naveen, if I may add, Hamad, one other point. So one of the main initiatives or reasons we partnered with SAF CSP is to enable the Saudi youth and build more calibers for the cybersecurity market. And with the 2030 vision of Saudi, of course, that totally makes sense because Saudi Arabia wants to move from step A to step Z in a very short time. To do that, building the resources is the first thing that comes to mind. But the last thing you need is to build the resources, get them into day-to-day business where they do routine business day by day. They don't get a chance to innovate. They don't get a chance to grow. They don't get a chance to enhance from what they're doing by doing repetitive tasks and by focusing on the wrong information. So the CyberFusion Center goes in parallel with building the resources and building the capabilities, because at the end of the day, you will get the resources that grow with the ever-growing CyberFusion Center at the end of the day.
That's why we are doing our very, very best to find the best solutions for the youth to work on and gain experience from the best. But I would like to go back to what Naveen said about the data and the importance of data. When you have data, data is money, but how do you protect it? What about the data privacy? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So Hamad, this question for you actually. If you had a chance to see social media recently, there was a video trending where Mark Zuckerberg was being asked questions by a senator. Mr. Zuckerberg, would you like to let us know which hotel you stayed last evening? And Mark Zuckerberg obviously says, no, I'm not too comfortable sharing that. Would you like to let us know which friends had dinner with you? Obviously, he said, I'm not comfortable sharing that information. Why is that so important? Even though he's a public figure, one of the richest persons in the world, and his personality is out, he is so closely guarding his privacy. So noting that data privacy is such an important facet of our public and personal lives, the lawmakers, especially in Saudi Arabia and the UAE in the region, being the leaders here, they've taken out personal data protection laws. In fact, the Saudi personal law has just been taken out about a couple of weeks ago. It got enforced on March 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a path-breaking move because Saudi is leading the way for the region. Why is this important? Because now everybody is aware any organization that is processing the data, storing the data, or even interacting with that data needs to adhere to these data protection laws. So this is where we stand, and it's a moment of pride that we are actually here to be a part of this enforcement of law and help organizations in Saudi Arabia. So what we can do at Spire Solutions is multiple ways. We are here to help organizations in Saudi to see where they stand in the data privacy journey, whether they want us to help them with the privacy impact assessments. They want to understand where the data is being collected, how it's being stored, how it's being processed, how it's being destroyed, for example. Data governance. Naveen and Rami, we talked about how data is only increasing in every organization. I mean, with certain records state that there at least 6 terabytes of data to 6 petabytes of data is being processed by any organization, even if it's small or a larger enterprise. So with data coming in, it could even have personally identifiable information in anywhere during the collection mechanism. So with data protection laws being enforced, it is imperative that organizations adhere to this. So how is the data coming? Where do we store it? And even if it means the data is being moved across different geographies or different countries, we still have to adhere by these laws. And everybody has the right to information, right to correction, right to deletion, privacy policy management, which means I go on a website, I have to show, the website has to show me whether I have the right to decline the cookies or accept the cookies. So all these have become mandatory now. If you do not accept this, there is a law of at least up to 5 million Saudi riyals. And there's an imprisonment close to 24 months as well. So we don't want these penalties to our clients. So we're here to help our clients take the necessary actions, help them in the data privacy journey as well.
And the data privacy, where can data be stored? I believe it can be stored also in the cloud, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's how we can move it from region to region easily.
Absolutely, that's a very important point. So cataloging what we call data inventories is absolutely important. Classifying sensitive personal information, personal data, where are they being stored, who are the data protection officers, because this is a new role which has been created as well, chief digital officer, chief privacy officer, or privacy data officer. These are various roles which have been created. So all these organizations have to create these specific frameworks as well. And how we can also help in the cloud is because cloud is a major journey right now, right? So we need to understand how we are provisioning the data in the cloud. For example, we are looking at inventory and classification. We're looking at monitoring of all the data which is coming at from various places. How are we migrating to the cloud? How are we taking a backup of this cloud? What are the DR mechanisms in place? How are we packaging it? What is the identity of the data of the people who are accessing it? What is the security? What is the compliance requirement? And fundamentally, the most important thing is, even though we outsource the data to GCP, Amazon, or any of those wonderful cloud providers, having the key with us is the most important thing when it comes to cloud security. This is what we call BYOK, bring your own key. So we take control of our own data. So these are the different ways where Spire Solutions can also help our clients. when it comes to cloud security platform management, cloud security posture management, in terms of migration, etc.
Amazing, amazing. And I believe you answered that, and that's how you guys at Spire can help with that.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many big buzzwords which are happening right now, right? We look at IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service, PaaS, platform as a service, RaaS, security as a service. So all of these are there. So it is probably difficult for all the enterprises to see what is the right approach for security in this space. So we got cloud access brokers as well. We got cloud security posture management, as I mentioned earlier on. We got cloud protection platform. So there are various buzzwords. So we understand that, but we are here to walk with you in the entire journey, in the cloud migration, in the sensitive data classification and protection of those sensitive data formats as well. So data protection, data privacy, data governance, the entire end-to-end data management along with security data is something that we have skills and capabilities to help our clients. We fundamentally believe that security and data are now together. And in order to help clients, we are helping our clients move away from the traditional mindset of just security solutions and helping them build a comprehensive roadmap and a security data framework in order to help them chart their journey for the next 4 to 5 years ahead.
Great, and that's why I found it very necessary to work with you guys and at Spire.
So Hamad, who are you having dinner with today?
I don't feel comfortable telling you.
That is good. Now you learned my lesson. Perfect.
All right. So how can we build a culture of resilience? Can Spire help with that?
I think I can start in that part a bit. So we've all been with Spire for a long time, and one of the magnificent things about Spire is the culture and the way it was built. Reason behind that, and one of the reasons we were never a market player in the area of commodity solutions, is that I believe that Spire has a bit of an advantage against resellers and against vendors, I would put it this way. Because resellers or system integrators, security integrators in the market would be picking and choosing from the solutions that are available within that market. Vendors would be pushing their story, whether it's relevant or not relevant, a lot of great solutions out there. Spire, because of the technical capabilities of the team and because of the structure and the way it was built, we were always around picking and choosing the right, or from our point of view, the right story parts, again, building blocks, not silo solutions, that help us with providing a full value to our customers. So resilience basically is part of our DNA in a way. It's not something that we are enhancing or we are building as we go. It is more than, it is something towards how we are built to work. What we provide to our customers is basically not only the solutions that we have in hand, that we have built capabilities around, that we have the technical team to support, that we have the vendors on our back to support, that we have customers and references in the market to show, but also the consultancy part presented by Sid and the other team, and the ability and flexibility to go out in the market, evaluate on behalf of our customers what the way forward is. And we never look at what is the way forward now. We rather, as Sid was saying a while ago, look at how it will be 4 to 5 years ahead, and we start building it now. This is one of our major differentiators there. I leave it to Naveen and Sid to continue there.
Sure. I think in my opinion, Hamad, so to build cyber resilience, to answer your question, can Spire help build cyber resilience? Absolutely. But then anybody can claim that, right? To build cyber resilience, it's important to firstly understand what is happening in the region. What types of trends is the region currently exposed to? What is happening around the world? And what might happen with our region in the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years or 5 years? Have a thorough understanding of the different industry verticals, different types of organizations, different types of attacks that might have happened in the recent past. See what are the priorities or national priorities for various different countries. What types of new regulations, laws, and legislations are they rolling out, be it in relation to cybersecurity, data privacy, cloud privacy, so on and so forth. And then map all those things, understand the challenges specific to the industry vertical, specific to organizations that we are speaking to, and then propose an approach. And I don't say technology, I say an approach, because the solution to some of their problems, the challenges, or the solution or the way to build their cyber resilience is a combination of, again, various concepts, various strategies, and technologies play a key role. They enable cyber resilience, and there Rami talked beautifully about our alignment with global vendors as their regional arm, our alignment with system integrators and resellers in each country across the Middle East and Africa, or our priority countries across Middle East and Africa, as our last mile or as our main bridge to customers. So building cyber resilience without regional understanding, without knowing what are the priorities of a country, without knowing what is the business roadmap or organizational roadmap for individual companies, it's redundant. So what we do is we actually focus on all those different aspects and then start working on the cyber resilience roadmap and enable the cyber resilience for organizations. Sid, over to you.
Thank you, Naveen. That's a very nice question, Hamad. I think you're signing off on a very high note, because for any organization to sustain in this highly dynamic world, if you don't have resilience built into the business itself, you would have them wiped off the face of the world immediately. So how can we help? Naveen already categorically mentioned, yes, we can help organizations in their business resilience. So how can Spire help organizations? First thing we do is we assess the risk and the resilience. That is number one. Second thing we do is securing the digital transformation. Because we are all in the technology world, that will be the second point, which is securing the digital transformation. The third thing is establishing the crisis response and preparedness. If you remember in the introduction, that was one of my key strengths at Spire Solutions, what I do specifically for the clients. So that is establishing crisis response and preparedness in order to foresee if something like that's coming. I'll be elaborating quickly on all of them. And finally, building a long-term cybersecurity capabilities into organizations. So first thing when we talk about assessing risk and resilience is we need to identify where the business is creating value for those organizations and see that is the risk that we need to mitigate and help design security around that. So the risk is something that we can help quantify to our respectable clients in terms of dollar values and say, hey, this is exactly where you need to secure your assets, the most critical assets, the most secure business processes that you need to protect yourself and as yourselves. And of course, this is what we see in the future would impact organizations of your nature. That is from the point number one, which is assessing risk and resilience. The second thing is securing the digital transformation. I cannot agree more than what Rami mentioned, because we have been a technology vendor from last 15 plus years. We understand technology very, very well when it comes to this region, especially from the regional trends and the kind of technology we bring to the emerging threats. Because of this, we are able to help clients create security strategies and create the value chain around those technological solutions. Third thing is the crisis response. So in order to understand what happens is, we need to see what is the regulatory requirement, what is the issues, what will happen if an organization gets impacted, which is public perception that we're talking about, right? So we help organizations minimize these attack surfaces, help them better prepared for response, which means, again, going back to the drawing board and seeing how different teams can work together, which includes your IT team, security team, legal team, board, and also the team, the PR, which all work together and respond together as one strong crisis unit. Finally, building long-term capabilities. So with strong foundation of a cyber fusion center and having a strong advisory capabilities within Spire, we are all able to help our clients redesign their operating models. Okay, this is what you've been doing over years, the last few years. Now, this is what we recommend you could incorporate and make the existing models better, or even redesign them completely. This way, we're able to help them adopt agile approaches in their security so that we have good, strong cybersecurity capabilities in the long term.
Amazing, amazing. That was very, very enlightening for me, and for sure for the viewers as well. You guys are very experienced people. So to summarize, I would like you guys to maybe give a couple of minutes for tips for our viewers so they can gain a bit more before we leave.
Mr. Rami?
I usually don't like to start with the tips part, but I would humbly advise anyone listening to us, and myself included, don't be afraid to innovate. Don't only look at what are the trendy things happening in the market right now and say better safe than sorry. No, sometimes safe isn't really safe. Safe is just looking beneath your legs. Don't be afraid to innovate. Don't be afraid to think out of the box. Don't be afraid ever to create your own use cases, your own roadmap, and you will find the tools and the processes and the people that will fit into that perfectly. And you will create a way that people will be pointing at and saying, this is something we want to do. I've seen this throughout my career path, and I have seen a lot of people shine just because they think out of the box. They thought out of the box, and they started looking for one step ahead. That's all I can say.
From my side, right? Let me touch upon the people aspect a little bit. Now, if you are a security professional, if you're a CISO, head of security or information security manager, and you're struggling to find security talent, don't lose hope. Reach out to the likes of the Saudi Federation for Cybersecurity Programming and Drones. Reach out to universities. There's tremendous talent out there. You do have talent in the market. It's just that we are not looking at the right places. And if you are a student that's pursuing your bachelor's or master's or otherwise any form of education around IT, computers, cybersecurity, you are actually in the right place. There is tremendous demand for people with cybersecurity skill set. Again, associate yourselves with the right communities, reach out to companies, and with the help of the Saudi Federation, with the help of companies like Spire Solutions, with the help of the industry in general, if we can all come together as one community and build that holistic ecosystem, we can quite easily address the people problem. On the technology aspect, I go back to what Rami mentioned a little while ago. Your technology stack is going to grow. Your security stack is going to grow. Whether or not you like it, it is going to happen. More and more and more new tools are going to get stacked up. You don't have a choice. You have to learn to live with it. So applying techniques, such as the Cyber Fusion Center or anything else that you feel might work for your organization is absolutely crucial. That is also a way of innovating. Old school security operations no longer works, period. We have to think outside the box. We have to understand what is the new normal and the next new normal going to look like and prepare ourselves in those aspects. Thirdly, data. Data is growing. Data will continue to grow. Two things. Number one, privacy, security, encryption, classification, governance, everything must be prioritized. Number two, what can you actually gain out of that data, which helps you enhance your security operations, which helps you be more cyber resilient, which helps you in mitigating cyber risks, therefore mitigating business risks. So think that way, think what you have to do with the data, what you can do with the data, and everything that comes along with it. So that's just my 2 cents.
Great. So as a security practitioner, what I always recommend my clients is never lose focus on the fundamentals and the basics. So first thing that would be is the critical security controls. No matter what stage of cybersecurity you are, you have these critical security controls strengthened, you have a good starting point. And of course, all the tips that my colleagues have given and I have given over the last 40-45 minutes could be incorporated. The second recommendation that I always give to my clients is, what are the laws of your land? What are the driving regulatory and legal compliance requirements? And what is the business that you're doing? What are the service lines? And how are you adding value to your clients? Look that specific piece and look at the risk assessment based on that. Prioritize the risks, quantify the risk, and then start your risk management program from there, fixing those risks from there on. So that'll be a very strong point, number 3. Finally, as I've already elaborated just a while ago, establishing crisis response and preparedness is of absolutely vital, especially what we have seen with organizations in the last 2 years. A lot of them have had to shut down because they did not have a crisis response in place. So I would like to sign off by saying that it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We all know it would happen, so be prepared for it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you guys very much. I believe that was a very interesting talk with you guys. The way you answered the questions, the clearness in the questions, it was amazing. I've learned a lot today, and I'm sure that our audience did as well. I was very pleased to have you guys as guests today, and I'm sure that me and my colleagues at SAP CSP are very much looking forward to working with you guys again and seeing you guys very, very soon. So I'd like to have the chance to say thank you and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for partnering with Spire Solutions, and thank you for giving us a chance to come share our thoughts and opinions at Cyber Nights episode 3. Thank you so much. Masalam.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmad. You're a wonderful host.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to my fellow panelists, Naveen and Rami. Have a lovely evening ahead.
Thanks.
And Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you.